While the nation wrestled with the status of Civil War monuments, a demonstration was set for Charlottesville, Virginia. The Unite the Right, protesting the planned removal of local monuments, received permission to hold a rally in a downtown park. Counter-protesters obtained permits to demonstrate the same day. It was straightforward. Protesters were to gather in one park, and counter-protesters were to assemble in two other parks blocks away. The opposing groups were separated. Mike Signer was the Charlottesville mayor that day.
Separate the groups, no matter what, however you can. Give the officers whatever they can to separate the groups. Make sure you planned to do that.
Aided by state authorities, Charlottesville had 2.5 months to prepare. But on that day, more than 800 law enforcement officers guided the 500 protesters and 1,000 counter-protesters to the very same park, where violence quickly erupted, injuring dozens and leaving one dead.
I would say that was an F.
And I thank you for being here. The phone lines are open.
Rob Schilling, a local radio talk show host who once served on the city council, gave the city a failing grade.
People got hurt and shouldn't have gotten hurt.
Inside Your World Investigates read the city and state's after-action reports. We also reviewed more than 12,000 pages of internal documents, correspondence, memos, and emails from city, state, and federal officials. A key mistake, the original plan to keep protesters and counter-protesters separated, was abandoned weeks before August 12th. At some point, the decision was made to put the opposing groups together in spite of warnings to keep them apart. It's not clear why.
I told him about setting up the barriers.
Charlottesville resident John Whitehead is president of the Rutherford Institute. He's represented demonstrators across the political spectrum, from the Occupy movement to white nationalists.
Making clear zones where the protesters could not get close to one another with sticks or whatever they might show up with. They didn't seem to listen to any of that.
The situation really was preventable.
Pat Napoleon is a lifelong resident of Charlottesville. She was so upset at how that day turned deadly that she led an unsuccessful effort to recall all 5 city council members.
There was a breakdown prior to August 12th. We had misguided government.
The city hired a law firm to conduct an independent review of what went wrong. A critical failure was city police decided to not use the National Incident Management System. NIMS is the national playbook used by federal, state, and local authorities to prepare for and respond to incidents like natural disasters and violent protests. Cities like Washington, D.C. use it routinely to keep crowd events peaceful. John Ford at the Federal Emergency Management Agency explains the value of using NIMS.
You have to train your people so they're prepared. They're not just waiting till the incident to happen. They have that training, they have their exercises, they go through the evolutions, they have that operational readiness with the training and exercises combined to ensure they're ready to respond to an incident.
Complicating matters was the city's fatally flawed plan, the independent review concluded. Eddie Reyes is a retired police officer who was part of that review.
So let me get this straight. The real failure in Charlottesville, in spite of the tragic events of August 12th, actually began weeks earlier.
I would say months earlier. The entire government structure within Charlottesville was just so grossly unprepared for this event.
The independent review documented major failures by the city. It didn't consult experienced jurisdictions. It adopted a poor operational plan. State police developed a separate plan, poor coordination between local and state law enforcement, and public safety officials were not properly trained. The independent review found no evidence of a police stand-down order in spite of widespread public belief there was.
This was state and local police not wearing body armor in most cases, standing behind barricades, guarding particular areas as opposed to involving themselves in stopping and arresting people for assault and battery on the street. That was the problem.
No stand-down order, but, the report concluded, police failed to stand up for public safety. After the independent review was conducted, most key city officials left, resigned, or retired from office. All city council members have declined to run for re-election. That tragic day and the resulting fallout is a startling wake-up call for all communities.
A jurisdiction should be using the National Incident Management System every day of of the year.
No matter how small of a municipality you are, Charlottesville can happen anywhere.
For Inside Your World Investigates, I'm Mark Hyman in Charlottesville, Virginia.